we're talking to watch. We're talking to watch. Now, I'm turning these off.
You're going to have that feedback.
All right. Now turn that off. I don't want to hear that back here. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us here at the South Greensburg Fire Department. We have with us here today Chief Tom Bell from the city of Greensburg and Chief Bill Wright from Southwest. What we wanted to do was not only talk with, so our other fire departments are chiming in and the public also, and just go over some of the things we're facing in the fire service today with manpower and different things. And I know between the two departments that are here, we do have manpower. I mean, we're not, the trucks are going out the door, but the problem is in 5 years from now, for us at least, and I know probably Greensburg's in the same situation in Southwest, our age is going to affect us. Just looking around, I mean, I'm getting older. I've known Tommy since I was 10 years old in 1986. We don't think that was that long ago, but it was a long, long time ago. And I've known Billy through high school, and we were in 420s together in the city of Greensburg. So we're getting to our time too. We wanted to talk about things, traditions in the fire service, things we've changed that were unpopular that, whether helped or hurt the department in different ways. So I know some of the things we're doing, and it's become important, is the junior firefighter program. Everybody that knows Greensburg has a very large junior fire department program. Sometimes we probably, don't want to deal with that or have that. And, some of the maybe older, more seasoned firemen don't like that. But it's very important to the future of this department or any department to get junior firemen involved, younger people involved at a time when we can catch them and gain their interest in this thing. Frankly, and Tommy, you have a ton of junior firemen over there. You have a very large department. And all those junior firemen you're not going to keep all them. And you know that. I mean, they may end up at another department.
Exactly.
But the same way that works is we train junior firemen and they may end up at a company in Arizona. Then those same people training them in Montana may end up here. So it's just as a whole to help everybody. Tom, why don't you talk about a couple of things that, you do to do recruiting and get new people. And I know Billy does a lot of it too, and he can talk about it, but just tell us a couple of things that you do that we're working on getting new people.
Our biggest thing was when I took over for Hutch, our junior program was still there. With both of you guys both came through the junior program in the city of Greensburg. And it's been that long. I mean, you can go back to when I was 10, 11 years old to Charlie Baker, who used to have a junior program.
Yeah.
Up at number 6 on Saturday mornings, you go down to the drill tower, stuff like. So it's been a long time since this junior program has been going on. The only thing that I try to do a little bit better is, back then is every kid around always wanted. You had 13, 14, 15 kids all the time. And then I think I got out of the junior program in 1984, somewhere around there. And after that, it went on for a while, a little bit, and then it just started to kind of like, the kids weren't there, they weren't interested anymore. The 420 died. I mean, it just kind of like went away. But when I came back, that was number one goal. I wanted to try to get something going, and we have done pretty good. But we're getting into the schools. We try to go there at least twice a year, take a couple of guys up, sit in their lunch periods, and have just a display of, hey, look, come join the Greensburg Fire Department. We found out that Kim Hauser and us got our heads together, and we figured we'd do a program where we could bring kids in a little bit younger and just basically come in and just observe a little bit, not doing, what the junior at 14 can. We figured let's bring them in at 12 years old, 13 years old, and just kind of like show them what they can do and things like that. And it's working. You know, the younger they are, I think the more you grab a hold of them. And the biggest thing is trying to keep them after you get them. And the big thing is if you don't do anything with them, if you just go down to the drill tower and you drill tower once a month and everything, you're going to lose them. We noticed this. So we try to do something else. And we come up with a weekend program where they come to the fire halls and they're hanging out at the fire halls and we do things with them, stuff like that. And it seems to be working. You know, we include them in everything. I mean, fire the other night, you know, we had almost 1,100 feet of 5-inch hose rolling. And we all know how that is. And they were there, man. They rolled it all up, helped out. So they are a huge help with us. You know, we had 30 guys there. But still, you know, they go after that hose. The other guys are wrapping up. Everybody's doing something. But biggest thing is once you do get them is keep them active, because if you don't, they're going to leave. But
Right.
The key to it is, I think, is getting them younger. You know, going into the high school, I don't know. We've never had very good success in high school. We go to where 4th, 5th, 6th grade, stuff like that, start chasing them around a little bit. And it seems like where we pick them up and try to give the incentives for the guys that already are the kids that belong there to try to bring their friends and say, hey, come try this out. And it works. I mean, it's working. There's no doubt about it. So that's where we're at with our junior program. It's working pretty good, but we're hoping that those stick around enough, you know, long enough to replace people like myself that are getting up that age. Greensburg, of course, is an aging department. We've got a bunch of good younger kids in there, but I'm not going to tell you we have 20, 30 of them, you know, just, you know, handful or better of some of those young ones that they're coming into it. You know, they're growing up and people to replace the older guys. But our junior program is where it's at, and I'm sure it's in any department. That's where you want them to come up, get up through the junior program and just step into the fire department.
And Billy, you have 2 or so, don't you? 1 or 2?
Yeah, we kind of changed ours a few years, well, more than a few now. It was a couple reasons, and the child labor laws are one reason why we went with 16. But what Tom just said, those younger kids, you got to keep them active or included. And then so on our end, who's going to do that? You know, who Tom's guys are going down to the drill tower during this summer off the school year, Monday through Friday during the day.
Right.
I see them down there. You know, who's going to do that? Who's going to commit to that? You know, and you know,
Probably
we're
have
a
to,
small.
you probably have to have a teacher in your thing that's off all summer.
Right. Yeah. Right. We don't have that. We have a bunch of working men.
Right.
But no. But you know, so we went with the 16 and 16 over, and we've had success with that. But then you are losing that younger demographic, and that's tough. But I guess you just gotta commit to your strategy and try to make it work for you. But we are losing those younger guys. But the 16 and up for us has worked. I think we have 3 maybe right now in that age group, you know. But you know, where are the 14 to? And you got to change. You know, we got this grant that for the recruitment, and you find out when you bring in a company that's what they do, how much you don't know about recruiting and retaining your members.
Right.
You know.
Right. So we have 2. They are both children of firemen members here. And frankly, our assistant chief who's sitting back there, Ski, his daughter is she's 12, right, Ski? And so I had to talk to Rick Steele, and I talked to some people in Unity Township who do the same thing, and see what could they do, what can we do with them, and we went through that. And already, you know, of course, it's a couple of the people have to try to put it down. You know, what are you doing? Why are we doing that? Well, we're doing it because, you know, I'm 47 and, you know, this guy over here is 63. And, you know, that's why we're getting these kids from the neighborhood in here and we can continue on. Otherwise, you know, where is the fire service going? Are we going for a paid department all the way around the whole county? I doubt that's feasible at some point. So that's the junior firefighter program is very important, I think, to any department. And really any department should look into having one, you know, whether it's like Greensburg does it or like Southwest does it, whichever. Get them interested early and get them in there. And then the next thing is just, you know, recruiting other members, you know, regular members that are already of age and whatnot. And our neighborhoods are different now.
Much different.
Because, you know, and in South Greensburg, when we were kids, this town was packed all day long. You had PPG and ABB down there operating, and, you know, a lot of those guys lived in town. Now we all have rental properties in town where people are invested in the city or the borough or whatever necessarily.
Or they're not there long.
Or they're not, yeah. So your lease is for a year and that's all you're there. So, and I know I've seen it, you know, you have your tent and your pamphlets and you same thing. And we started doing the same. And, you know, we see some interest, you know, and I guess for the public people to understand is everybody doesn't have to go into burning buildings, right? There's plenty of other jobs to do, whether it's a fire scene, a wreck, medical personnel, administrative stuff around the station. I mean, geez, you know, you guys have been chief for a while and I've been a year, but I can't believe the amount of paperwork, phone calls and things, and him especially with 5, 6 companies over there. I just can't imagine all that you have to go through. Now you have a large command staff that helps you do a lot of things, which is helpful. And we do too for the size of our department. So those things help, but recruiting adults and people being in the fire service is probably the biggest challenge, is getting adult people who are, you know, already know what they're doing, help people work. You know, you're a softball coach and what else? You coach football and all that.
So, 8-year-old kid keeps you busy.
Yeah.
But right. to that extent, though, you said about the command staff and and your guys are probably in the same boat. If we don't have that, I wouldn't be able to survive. You know,
no.
I got an 8-year-old kid that's running me all over. If I didn't have, and then not just command staff, basically, if you're not getting your whole department recruited and trained to where you know you don't have to be there and you don't have to worry. You know what I mean? That's an important part too. You got to, and you said, and you're and I agree with you. There's a job for everybody, but we got to still bring in the right people and get them trained to the right point where you can go to sleep at night and know that your department's still in good hands.
Well, right, and everybody has to understand what's going on. Even if you're not an interior fireman, you have to understand what's happening in there. Especially if you're a pump operator or you know, a command officer for that matter. And you know, one of the things I know that we did, and it come from some of the younger people. It was actually my daughter Maddie. We were on a drill one day, and she goes, "Hey, can I learn how to run the pump?" Well, yeah, why not? Right? I mean, even if she's not going to be a driver, understand how that pump operates. What if something happens to our pump operator?
Mm-hmm.
What if we need him? We're so short-staffed, you know, 2-man engine or something. What if I need that pump operator? Well, here comes this one along, and you can just watch the pump now, you know, and keep an eye on it and make sure we have water or whatever. So you're right. We should train everybody to do everything, but everybody doesn't have to go into burning buildings. Everybody doesn't have to cut a car apart. Everybody doesn't have to do CPR on somebody, but we should understand what it is and do that. And I think our biggest challenge is going to be finding the adult people, you know, to get into the department. And that's why I think there's such a focus on the junior fire programs, you know, at that point, because you're getting them before they've decided, you know.
Yeah, and in the fire service, you know, back in the day is in the neighborhoods, you know, you had most of your firemen run out of the houses that everybody lived around because, you know, you had one person had a job, mom stayed at home, cooked dinner, took care of the kids, stuff like that. Today, you don't have that. You have mom and dad both working, some maybe even working 2 jobs. And then, you know, the kids, you know, they want to sit around and just hang out on the computers and stuff like that. And they're not as active. They don't get outside as much. You know, before that was all it was. You know,
yeah, outside all the time.
The fire hall, hanging out at the fire hall was the big thing.
It was the cornerstone of the community, the fire department.
Correct. And that leads to get into how do we get the adults? You got to think outside the box, because we don't have. I'm a half square mile borough.
Right.
If you look at my membership list and count how many active firefighters live in Southwest Greensburg, it's less than 10. You got to think outside. If somebody lives in Bell Vernon or Irwin or Maryland and want to come give you a day a month or a day a year, and just because they don't come to your meetings or your fundraiser, if they're going to help you, if they're a trained firefighter that's going to help you for a day, what are we doing telling them no? You know what I mean? You got to think outside the box. It's going to be different.
Well, and you have those
strategies
guys
for the adults, and then you got to take different strategies for. And like I said, you bring in a company that does the recruitment and retention for. That's what they do, and you learn what you're doing wrong.
Right.
Like you got to go after the adults different than you have to go after the kids now.
Sure.
Everyone would say, "Oh, the kids, all they want to do is be on that phone." You're right, but we got to take advantage of that. Go after. I mean, it's not going to change. They're going to be on that thing forever. And you mentioned me coaching softball. All they want to do is dance on those TikToks, and so you got to use that to your advantage,
right?
One way or another, and and go after the young kids different than you're going after the adults.
And I know you're talking about the members that you have, Christoph and those guys that are, they maybe work for the pay department as well. And there's an advantage to that because they're getting some more knowledge than we get. I mean, we don't get a lot of runs like they do. And, most of our stuff is burn food. I mean, occasionally, we get these fires and get a bad accident or something, but most of our stuff can be cleared up in a short amount of time. And frankly, you're asking people to, both my kids are grown, and Maddie wanted to get involved in the fire service, and that was great. And I was out for a long time on the fire service. You know what I mean? She played softball. I coached. We played travel ball. She bowled. We traveled all over the country with her bowling and stuff. There's no way I could have did it. So I understand my guys that have children at home, and we have to understand them better because if you remember back in the day, and it was up there at number 6, if you didn't come around for a couple of days, you were just a part-timer. Yeah. And everybody pulled your leg a little bit,
out of the fire department,
or they tossed you.
Exactly right.
And those things were large goals to meet, though. I think at times they were 35%, and if you didn't make 35%. We had 50 guys standing around. We didn't have enough room on the trucks for all the people we had. But and now we do have a minimum requirement here. And part of the reasoning for that is the cost of this gear. I mean, it's astronomical. Now I have to replace it and whatever. So, and frankly, ours is 10%. So we normally answer 500 to 600 alarms a year. This year, I think the city's helped us along to get a little over 500 with some broken trucks and stuff. But, they've helped us we're almost at 500 now, which is a lot for us. Last year we finished with 499. So I require 10%, and it's in our SOPs. So 10%, that means I get an incident number, and just like they do and our mayor likes us to have it in case something happens, for drills and certain things like that. So, at 500 calls, that's 50 calls a year. That's less than 5 a month. And my thought is, if you can't make 5 a month, then why? You know what I mean? You're probably not interested enough that we spend the money because it's very costly, right? To just get a fireman ready to go to a call. I mean, I think the last set of bunker gear we bought was near $5,000.
Head to toe, yeah.
With helmet and everything else and all that stuff, it's costly. So, just so that the public understands, we do need people, and we don't need just young people too. We need those older people. Billy, your brother's watching. Yeah, but we do need older people too. That are, I have a lot of my drivers are retirees. They move the truck during the day, and that's where we're really struggling. Unfortunately,
if it wasn't for retirees, And it's not, I mean, we do have some shift work. If it wasn't for retirees and the guys that work off shifts,
Right.
we wouldn't get on the door.
Not during the day. And you have your dad over there, you have Eddie, and then you have you're doing your shift guys, Todd works at night, and those guys are over there during the day. So, you get out the door during
and we're
the day.
lucky for that.
Correct.
We're lucky for that. And there was a time, and it's kind of righted itself, but there was a time where a lot of our guys, and a lot of guys still are, I mean, we have a lot of policemen and state troopers and the law and department, but there was a while that we were better off during the day than from 3 to 6 at night because of our shift.
Well, sometimes I think
you got to take advantage of that too.
Sometimes I think we're better during the day, and the weekends are
and that goes back to, okay, we got a couple adults that want to join, but they can't come to your trainings because they're at night. Well, we got to accommodate that because we got to take advantage of fire. We have fires during the day.
Yeah, fires
They're
happen
not
at
just
day and
at
night.
6:30 on Monday nights.
So they all happen.
What I mean?
They all happen at different times. Okay, so that's part of that. So everybody understands. I mean, that's I think where the fire service is and going, and frankly, every department around us is different ways. Whether it's just manpower as a whole or age or whatever, we have to get out and do a better job at getting new people and gaining the interest in the fire service. So another thing I wanted to talk about was, and this has been a big thing over here, I know, and Tom, I'm sure you've been, how long you been chief now?
Since 2016.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. Billy, how about you've been there longer than that, haven't you?
I think this is 11 years now.
So, and me only a year and a half. And of course, when, there's a new chief, there are changes, and it's not always the chief making the changes. Believe me, I take the blame a lot, and we all take the blame a lot for whatever changes we made. But the fire service has traditions, of course, and some of them are great. And we try to keep some of them things. The days of people sitting out front on the pad, we were sitting out there the other day, just sitting on the back of the tailboard of their truck saying, geez, where did these days go? There'll be every day of the week, we'd be over number 6 sitting out front, and you'd come by and we'd see you over there or whoever, we stop at another station.
I wasn't allowed in that part of the neighborhood.
Yeah, once you started driving, you made your way across that half of Stanton Street where it crosses over into the city. But, those days are really gone. And it was fun. And I'm going to talk about one of the most unpopular changes we've made here so far. If people know our station, we have a room. That's it. We don't have separate areas in this building. This is the municipal building in the borough. So all the municipal offices are upstairs, the police are upstairs, and the fire department's down here. So we have one room here. And for the longest time, of course, it was always, I don't know how long it was here, 50, 60, 80 years. As long as this building was here, probably. There was a bar in this station. And we were all in the same room, guys answering fire alarms, guys just hanging out. And it caused a lot of disconnect between the two dudes. They just couldn't get along. And it came to a point where I don't have people that are getting on trucks hanging out here and doing stuff, checking air masks and doing this and doing that, just because of things that would go back and forth between the two. And it was both sides, frankly. It wasn't just one. But something had to change. And I've taken the blame for it, and that's fine. But the company voted on it, and we removed the bar from here. And to have junior firemen in here in those areas like that with that is just not a good thing. And if the junior fireman is the child of another fireman, they understand. They grew up in that atmosphere. But if you're bringing kids in, first generation firemen in, it's a hard thing to do. So we removed it, and for a while I thought, was that the wrong decision? But But really, the fire truck still goes out the door. And, you know, those people, they did things here at the department. You know, they helped us with fundraising. They helped us with other things. And we kind of made it so that there were times when you could hang out here for that kind of stuff, you know, football games, whatnot, to do that kind of stuff. And I guess it just wasn't acceptable or good enough. And, you know, people were saying that people weren't welcome in the station no more, which is completely untrue. I mean, they are welcome here. You know, there are certain times for that kind of stuff, and it just can't be a day-to-day operation anymore because of our setup here. Now, like at your station, you have a hall you rent, and that's a non-issue at your place because that's your hall.
Yeah, we cut ties with that a long time ago. You know, 0% or zero tolerance.
Right.
We disconnected. You know, that was
and
that was the thing back in the 80s.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't kind of, and unfortunately that stigma is still around. You know.
Right.
Drunken driving. Hey, like you said, there's a time for it. Like we're not afraid to go socialize and have a good time. We don't do it. It can't mix anymore. It cannot. And,
no, it's just
it still does at places. You know that, but it can't. It can't.
It's just not part of it. And Tom, even all your stations, they're in a separate area of the fire department where your members aren't gathering. You know, your guys that answer calls regularly or answer alarms. There, you have halls where they rent them for fundraising things, and that's so it did. But here it didn't fit because we don't have that. We don't have a separate hall. You know, you got guys over here trying to watch TV. These guys are trying to watch a football game, hooting and hollering, and it just didn't mix. You know, and it was another thing where, you know, this guy leaves his dinner table to go to an alarm, and you know, then they see that, and it just wasn't a good thing. Now that's not to say, like I said, you know, we have our Chiefs party coming up. You know, you guys will come over, we'll eat, and a couple guys drink, hang out, have a good time, but that's not going to transfer over to if we get an alarm. You know, we have other people to do it that just don't do that stuff. You know, I gave that up a long time ago because I get in trouble all the time when I drink a lot. So I kind of let that go. But what do you, Tom? Can you think of something that maybe you guys have changed? That certain people they just couldn't get over it, and it hurt.
Well, it came down to in Greensburg, it's the mentality of the department and the way that we used to do things. You know, things that worked back in the day don't work today. Things that we did back in the day don't do today. What works in our department doesn't work in another department, vice versa. You know, what works in your department might not work in ours. I learned that a long time ago in the golf business. You know, what happens at this golf course doesn't happen down. But anyways, just the way that we did things. You know, when I took over, the number one thing was safety. I mean, there's no doubt. Not that we weren't safe. Some of the things that needed to be changed in the Greensburg Fire Department to make it a safer department, and that's where I look at changing it. It didn't sit well with people, and it's the old cliche is that's not the way we did it 50 years ago. That's not how we used to do it and everything. If I could tell you, you know, $1 for every time I heard that, I'd be a millionaire. There's no doubt about it. But, you know, change, and then when you do change, that's the big thing. You got to stick with it. You know, yeah, it hurts for a little bit, but you know, sooner or later it works itself out, and you're better off changing, and you find out you did good when you did the change. You know, it just takes a little bit of time. And, people come around and they look at it, and as they go on, or as we went on, you know, some of the changes that I made, there's people who looked at it and said, okay. And then there's some people that said, you know what, I'm not changing, I'm not coming around, and probably lost a few that just said, you know, enough's enough. I did my time. I'm not going to follow this baloney. And well, there's several ways, but you have to. It's give and get. We were very fortunate that in the last few years that our recruitment has worked. We've gotten new firemen, you know, and like you, there's people that came and joined the fire service. They're just drivers and they're just doing things, but you know, we still require them to come in and make sure that they take the essentials so they know exactly what the fire service was. We didn't have that. We had you come in, you join the fire service as long as you had a name on the roster and you were there. That's what it was. So be a requirement that you should be. We got to give you the minimum training so you have something, because even though you're a driver, or even though you're just a groundsman, you have to know what to do on the grounds. You have to know how to do things properly and safely. That's the biggest thing. That's what they teach in your essentials. You
So
got to make sure.
when you, like, if you make that decision there, or any decision we've made with it, you don't just do that. I mean, all off on your own, just haphazardly. I mean, you have a good group of, I know Hoyle's right there next to you, and you have those guys. I'm sure you speak to them about this.
Yeah, we have a command staff meeting, which, I have a lot of guys, and you get criticized. Oh, you got more chiefs and you got Indians and things like that. You have to. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Nobody's going to sit here and tell me that 6 companies are going to run it by 2 people. There's no way, because, again, I understand that too many cooks in the kitchen run into it. You have to have opinions. You have to do things, because I'm not going to sit here and do it 24/7. There's no way. I got to have a life too. I'm going to go on vacation. I want to take days off. I want to do things, especially at night. That's why we created the duty shift night. We have somebody that's on. It goes to these false alarms. It goes to these things. There's just has to be more than just one person involved in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And like I said, change. That's what it was. It's change. We decided as a team, not just like you said. I didn't make all the decisions. You did like the same way you did here.
Right.
You didn't make the decision. Your majority made the decision.
Right.
That's why we did it.
And you have your. And I look at it. You have your command staff set up. They all have a job.
Right. That's the biggest.
This one's
Everybody has a job.
training. Chet's in charge of EVOC driving and all that stuff.
Right.
Jeff Heater fixes saws and whatnot. And doesn't do a very good.
Yeah.
He don't do a good job, but
He tried.
I know he's watching. But and Billy, you have your officers and you have yours guys. Like some guys handle training. Not every officer comes up with some training. You want them to do that, but you have guys that handle training and different things, and you have it laid out that way to do it that way.
Yeah, you have to. Thompson, you have to. It has to be able to run without you. If it doesn't, we're not doing our job.
Right. And one person can't do it. And sometimes that happens at some departments where one person just, if it's not my way, or we don't do something here, or we don't do this or buy this or that, it's not a good idea if it didn't come from them. And frankly, I probably come up with very few ideas, or if I do, it gets changed somewhere along the way because somebody made it better. And whether that's an assistant chief, a firefighter, or a junior, frankly, that I saw this somewhere, or I saw this, and we do it. I've done it. I say, oh, look, Southwest is doing this. That's probably not a bad idea, but let's make it fit our department.
Right.
Or Greensburg's doing this way. But we can't do it that way because of whatever, but we can do this much of it or something like that. And I think we probably all learn from each other at some point if our eyes are open.
And if you don't, shame on you.
Right.
What Southwest does, we try to mimic this, and you might have a good idea on something. We might have a good idea on something. Never, an idea. You just run with it, see what you can do. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like I said, it might work for us, but it might not work for you. And that's what you got to try to figure out.
And we give each other a little bit of crap, especially me and you. Oh, hey, I see you did this, so will you do that? Or whatever. But that's all fine and good. I mean, that's part of the business now. So
you don't have to have original ideas. You just got to be able to implement them, like Tom said, for your department.
For your department,
and make it
right?
Work. I mean,
we go around
and not be afraid to take the jump.
We go around joking we're buying a ladder truck. Why are we? We're not buying a ladder truck. Why would we buy a ladder truck? You have a ladder truck. Greensburg has a ladder truck. There's one on top of the hill. We're not, but we horse around about it. And do those kind of things. Now that's something we're never going to do. As much as and I'm sure Jared will message me here soon. We are getting a ladder truck. We're not. We're not getting a ladder truck. But so if you see, I had a photo up one day, and your dad caught it right away. It was a ladder truck back in our station, and it was red and black. So right away, Bill, what is with the ladder truck? And I told him we're going to call our new rescue a rescue wagon. So he loves that. But
like I told you, if you ever dig out your station, I got to tell it for you.
Yeah, we talked about tunneling with buckets in the back-to-back artillery.
Yeah, right.
But, so anything else you guys want to talk about today while you're here? this is something, I guess frankly, I seen you on one of these here when it was the International Fire Chief of the Year.
He's
Is that what it
becoming a
was?
professional.
Yeah,
He's making commercials.
You're a commercial star and all this stuff. You're with your long lost son and the ball and pizza and whatnot. But I mean, I tell you, when I first saw that, I just started cracking up.
I can't take credit for that. Marcus, he did our recruitment video and everything. You know, giving him a blurb up here for the his place that he has in Greensboro. He's a
Scheme 19.
Yeah, Scheme 19. He's just great. He's an awesome. He was born to do that. There's no doubt.
I've made contact with him about doing something.
He's great.
Just for us.
He's great. He's a good man, and he came to me for that commercial. And that's his thoughts, man. It was awesome.
It was funny. It was definitely funny. So,
but even that, the things like that, you know, it was hilarious. It was funny. But
yeah.
Still, it wasn't directly involving the fire department, but it still brought
attention to the fire department. Correct.
So,
right.
It was just telling our story, basically, in the city of Greensboro, showing what goes and what you can do. And every fireman, not just the city of Greensboro, but every fireman goes through, you know, what goes on, the training and, you know, the rescues and things like that. That's what firemen do. That's what it was all about. Need your glass?
Nah, yeah, kind of. I just see who's talking. I see Bob Coletta's on there and Jimmy Bold. They got some comments on there. As we get, it wasn't actually nothing. He isn't coming after us. This is right now. We thought maybe not yet.
Last night.
Him and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I taught him how to play tie out.
Did you? You taught me how to play too. But so this is something maybe we'll do. Maybe we'll do it next week, frankly, and just different people and get different people in here. So not only does the other firemen will watch, I'm sure, they're out there. We see them. I see some of firemen's wives watching and whatnot, but just getting different people in here. So maybe the public understands more what we are actually doing, because we don't see them every day.
Right.
We don't see the public every day. They see us, the doors are out, their whistles making noise in the neighborhood, and, they're going here, doing that, or driving a truck around. But, we're out there for a purpose, and maybe we can help them understand more and understand what we need.
We need to educate the public, and you got to get your message out on social media. Everybody's on something.
Right.
And not only the public, we got to educate our leaders, our council, our mayor, because they're the ones responsible.
I'm not going.
We have to.
We'll see if they put us in.
They don't understand. There's a fire call. They don't understand that they're responsible for us in some areas. I'm lucky what people do, but that's our job to educate them. And they got to see, hey, 5, 10 years. Like my council, as much as they support us, they're not ready to buy a fire truck in 20 years.
No.
Especially, what's it going to be, 1.5 million by then? They're not ready for that. I mean, they're ready to buy a garbage truck. They have a garbage fund. They're ready to buy a police car. It's, a tenth of not even less.
Yeah,
less
well,
than
gee,
that.
I mean, just the Chiefs car we just did was, like 50,000. Our new fire truck's over 600.
You call that a Chiefs car?
No, command.
It's
Command buggy. Command buggy. Is that in the city or the township?
If that is the Dairy Queen, that's in the township.
They didn't put us in, but they're going.
That's a township call. That's not city call. Like somebody brought that attention on the radio.
Okay. Anyway. All right. So I think unless you don't have anything else, we'll wrap it up for today.
I'm here for you, man.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for watching. Maybe we'll get something going next week. I have an idea already. I'll have to talk to a couple people and see if we can get them in here to talk about a couple things. So everybody, thanks for watching, and we will see you again sometime.